Hello, my name is Mark Houston.
And I'm Andy Young.
And welcome to the very first episode of My First Concert, where we are going to be talking with people in the music industry, not just the artists, not just the musicians, but we want to talk to everybody in all fields, from radio to producing to the road managers. We want to find out why they're in this business. And our very first guest that we're super excited to have with us is Bob Zwart.
Yeah, well, I couldn't think of a better guest for us, Bob. Bob and I have known each other for almost 20 years, probably. We spent 6 years together on the road in Judd Hoos. I mean, he's just a huge influence on me personally, working in the music industry, and I just thought he'd be a great first guest for us.
Just give us a little background, Bob, on when this all started for you.
Well, it was just me and my brother Randall in the day. He had already had a band in grade school, and I just was enthralled with the whole idea of playing drums and didn't know singing was going to be what I really latched onto, you know. So we played all the time in the basement of my folks' house, and, you know, it's just really the passion was there right away, and didn't know I was so shitty at it, but I had just kept working at it.
Were your parents musically inclined, Bob?
No, not really. My mom played a little violin, and my older sister played piano and sang a lot. So there was some drive in there somewhere in the vein. It was there, but I think me and Randall are the only ones that ever pursued it, though.
You do feel that this was your life path right here? Did you have that feeling as a kid?
Absolutely. Yep. I didn't want to go to college. I looked into it. That was going to be a shit move for me. I couldn't sit still in high school. I pursued the band business. Drumming in particular.
Where are you from originally? Are you from the eastern part of the state?
Del Rapids originally.
Del Rapids, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll just kind of get started. I mean, Bob, you and I, we've known each other for a long time. You know,
absolutely.
We spent, you know, at least 6 years together on the road in the band, and, you know, we lived hundreds of miles apart. I mean, I lived in Nebraska for a while I was in the band with you, and even then, you know, we still were able to spend a ton of time together, and I don't think I ever really got to tell you thank you for, you know, exposing me to this world and, you know, really changing the trajectory of my life and kind of bringing me in.
Well, it's nice to hear, but also you kept mine alive, you know, when you came along. So.
Yeah, and I mean, and just for me personally, I mean, it's you really kind of dictated a lot of what I learned about the industry and like what it means to put a show together, because there's so much more to it than, you know, 4, 5, 6 guys just learning songs on guitars or whatever. It's like what's happening before the song, you know, what are you doing unique in the middle of a song, and how are you ending the song to get immediately into the next song so you don't lose anybody. You know, that's definitely just the craft of the show is definitely something that I think you've kind of inspired a lot in this region with the way that you guys, you know, just toured and put shows together for a long time.
Yeah, we thought that all along, that me and my brother Randall, we always thought you had to be, you know, doing something like that to keep people's attention. Always did. Yeah. When I go see a live band, if they don't do that, it bugs me. I don't like dead space, but, you know, everybody's to their own that way.
Do you feel like you were an innovator out here, Bob?
I guess looking back, I think I am, and was maybe. I never sat back and thought of it, though. You know, it's just, but now that when I hear you guys talk, and since I left the band and some of the people that have approached me, I guess I do, because they pointed out to me. I see it and hear it now.
And I always thought, like, before I joined the band too, you could just see it. It's like, okay, this is the model, and then you could see other bands like doing their version of that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, even with Zwarte, I mean, that was like, you know, you're going to show up no matter what room you're playing in. You're going to show up and you're going to have the biggest PA and the biggest sound, light show that anybody's ever seen in a room that holds 200 people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we did think that way. There's no doubt. We spent more time before Zwarte got going saving money for gear than rehearsing. We were so anxious to have the right production, you know. We had not mastered our craft in any sense. We were so shitty, but we were hungry, mask over shitty, you know.
Well, and that's I think that brings up a very good point. You know, I think that the passion for it in a way can lead you to greatness before you know technically you've achieved it.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. You know, there's a lot of adulation in people coming to see and hear what you have to say and do, and that didn't fall out of the sky. You had to work for it.
Do you still feel you have that fire inside of you a little bit, Bob?
There's a little bit. I'll be honest. There's a little bit. There's definitely not a lot. I don't know if it's age Andy's heard me spiel on this a little bit, but it's a little bit of age, so I know a little too much. So it's the carrot doesn't dangle as bright as it used to. It doesn't make me as hungry to do it. The kind of music nowadays, I absolutely do not care for any of it. It all sounds like ass to me, and that probably happens to everybody that gets a little older. They just don't like that music anymore. Yeah. So a lot of things drove me out because I got older, wiser, more seasoned, and then it became, without being rude, I can't help it. It became boring. And it wasn't anybody's fault. It's just me getting older and seeing it through a different lens.
Well, and when you guys were at your peak here, I was in radio in Rapid City here, but that was the boom of country. So that was kind of my background. So I never got to see you guys at your peak, but I always knew who you were.
Meaning Zwarte.
Meaning Zwarte, yes. You guys were never, you were everywhere, and even people that didn't follow or listen or go to your show still knew who you were. I think that's the impact that you had in this area. And I saw you get up on stage at the rally with Judd Hoos for a few songs. And I think that spark you speak of a little bit, it still clearly shines through when you put a microphone in your hand and you stand up on that stage.
That's nice to hear. And I ain't gonna lie, when I don't have to worry about payroll and speakers blowing up and road crew getting paid and who's gonna be late, sound check, just to walk up on stage and grab the mic is honestly the easiest part of the whole job. Everything between it is the hard part.
Yeah, that's not even work. I mean,
Andy can attest to what I just said. When you're driving by all them white lines down that highway to each town, it'll start to have, that's the change. That's the pack it in and the wear out right there.
So do you have a preference? And this is a very hard question to answer, but I want to throw it out there. So you were such an integral part of Zwarte and obviously an integral part of Judd Hoos. Do you have a favorite? Do you have, or were the styles different enough to where it kept your interest in both bands?
When we first started Judd Hoos, it had a lot of my impression on it because I kind of got to bulldoze what I had in mind. And the people in the band at the time were just open. They were like, yeah, let's go. And then as Judd Hoos started to get changing out musicians, the direction, it wasn't a bad thing, but just took a direction that didn't move me like it used to. It wasn't as hard a rock. And in the defense of the guys that were joining the band, Andy and the Bills boys, and the music they were into, I don't blame it. I had my thing, and that music didn't drive me like the other stuff. And I couldn't make these guys play hard rock. And in their defense, hard rock was hard to sell. You couldn't even do it. Anyhow, so it was becoming where, okay, we're to market what we're doing is going to get harder and harder. At the time, we were mostly a cover band. Judd Hoos now is way more of an original band than a cover band, which is what I used to be in Zwarte. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it became a tough deal to stay in because if it don't move you, you're in trouble. It's got to move you. It's got to be something you can't wait to sing and do,
Exactly, because it takes so much sacrifice to be able to do it and go out on the road. And if you don't care for it, I mean, there's a million easier ways to make a living than to try to make music and force people to care about your music, even a fraction of as much as you do.
But I was blessed on that note because the guys in Judd Hoos are dear friends of mine. And Shane in particular is the best business partner, and I've had several businesses. He's the best business partner I've ever had. He's so level-headed, so eye to eye on so many things. So when I departed, it was one of the nicest, peacefulest things I've ever been a part of, and it was never a problem. And then these guys have carried the torch on and beyond what I could have done for them. I would have held them back. I know I would have, because I was old news, and it was okay. I can say that, I'm stuck in what I was into, and well, time changes and time goes by, and it's not like that anymore.
Well, let's jump back and go to kind of like what the premise of the whole show is. Like, we want to know, like, what was the moment where you knew that you were like, oh, I can make a living playing music, or even if it's not a living, like I can spend my life working in music and be happy.
The very, very first live show I ever did was at our own bar. It was in Minnesota. Me and Randall owned our own bar, and we had a ballroom attached to it. There was probably only 15 people in the crowd. It was our very first show, and we only played about 5 songs. I can't remember why it was so short. There was a reason. I think we knew about 10, but we played 5. And I remember one of the tunes was Judas Priest, and we were so terrible. we didn't know we were. I just remember think in my head there was 1,000 people out there, but there was 12 or 15, and I was up on them drums going, "This is it. This is the shit right here," you know.
That's awesome.
Because that was the very first live show, and that was the worst we were ever going to sound. It only got a little better from there.
Do you remember the very first concert that stuck in your mind, Bob? The very first show you went to that you're like,
absolutely,
yes.
It was a friend. I got to tell you a little backstory because
Sure.
A friend of mine, he was your total Beavis and Butthead doper dude in school, and he told me he had tickets to Molly Hatchet at the arena if I wanted to go with, and I couldn't believe I could go to the arena at about age, I suppose I was 12. But I went with this doper guy, and you know, he's a good dude, but to this day he's still a doper and kind of stepped back. He never came out of it. Let's put it that way. This guy took me, so the experience was from them eyes, you know, and he knew every damn Molly Hatchet song there was, and I only knew about 5 of their songs. But when we got there and I saw the show, I absolutely loved it. And we had really bad seats way away, and you couldn't see the stage hardly. But I remember when I left there, I go, this is definitely what I want to do. I want to be on a stage like that. And I wouldn't have went if it weren't for, I can't say his name, but
We'll leave it out.
Yeah.
Where was the show at?
at the Sioux Falls Arena.
Sioux Falls Arena. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, Bob, this has been a great conversation, and I'm really happy you decided to be our first guest for this. You know, you've definitely made a huge impact, not only in the state of South Dakota, you know, part of Sturgis as well. You guys did pave the way for a lot of bands in this area to understand what it means to put on a show, and that's what this industry is all about, bottom line.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a good show. Everybody likes a good show. The things my take on music today is I listen to the radio. I listen to what's going on, and I'm hearing this just amazing stuff. The process, what they can do to a song nowadays is just amazing. I mean, they take drum tracks, they take vocals, they take everything and just buff shine it beyond what you could think. And that's really got I'm like, wow, this is a whole different planet when it comes to music to me with my ears, you know, because I was in the old days, we were on big analog tracks, just recording all the Zwarte songs, all of them. You couldn't really play with that stuff unless you spliced the tape, literally cut the tape, you know, you couldn't do all those tricks like that. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but music doesn't sound like music to me anymore. It's from somewhere else. It's so different, you know?
Well, Bob, thank you, man. This was awesome. This was a great conversation. Yeah. I'm glad I finally got to meet you a little bit. I've seen you around enough. Yeah. And in the future, you know, we'll have to sit down and have a drink and talk some more, because I love hearing these stories. Again, Bob, thank you so very much, man. We really appreciate it.
All right, Andy, love you, brother.
Yeah, love you too. Thanks, Bobby Z.
See ya.